Welcome back to the channel, guys. If this is your first time here, my name is James and this is Killingit Country. So if you're following the channel closely, you know that I have a John Deere LA 140 riding mower. I've replaced the fuel tank. I've replaced the operator controls, which is the throttle and choke module, I guess you call it, with the linkages and the cables that go down to the engine. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pull out the axle, the transaxle, and I'm actually going to let that drain overnight and fill it back up with clean oil. So this video will be filmed tonight and another day, either tomorrow or the next day. And well, I've been wanting to do that for a long time because it seems like you should be able to do it a little easier, but there's no drain plug. You have to pull the whole thing out and flip it upside down. So we'll see what we're getting into. I have done this job before on another lawn tractor, but never on this one. So I'm sure it'll be fun. Let's do it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get that mower deck out of there. That's just going to complicate my life if it's installed, so I'll tear that out. One of these days I'll give that thing a coat of paint instead of just a coating of undercoating. Look at that thing, hardly a flake of paint left on it. John Deere needs to step up their game when it comes to how they paint these things. This is ridiculous. All right, let's go into the tractor and get dirty. So, see that spring right there? I'm going to unhook that spring from this this round crossbar here, and then we have a couple of linkages. This linkage here, this one comes from your HST pedal, your forward and your reverse, and acts upon a lever over there that's attached to the hydrostatic drive unit. So I need to disconnect that rod from the hydrostatic drive on that side. And then there's another threaded or another rod over here. It's in there with a spring on the back side. I can only assume that that's attached to the brake pedal because there's only two pedals on this tractor. Oh, I shouldn't say that. There's a forward and a reverse for the HST, but they both act upon the same rod. So this one over here has got to be for the brake. So I'm going to get both of those disconnected. I don't know whether to leave the camera down here or leave it up there. I guess we'll leave it down here. We'll give that a shot. All right, maybe a light would help too for you guys. Yeah, that's much better for you guys to see now. So this spring here, I'm gonna remove that guy. And that spring keeps tension on this assembly here. You'll see when I take the spring off how that behaves with no pressure on it. See how loose that is now? And I'm pretty sure if the brake was on, this would also be loose. So that's off. See, this would have been so much easier for me to do this job at the same time as replacing this gas can, which was in a previous video. Maybe I'll link to that right now. But I didn't really want to do that because I wanted to be able to show people how you can do this as a standalone job, as a standalone task. So we're going to tackle this. We're going to get it done. I'm sure we can figure it out. Okay. Looks like I can just remove this pin here. Drop the washer off. That's a crazy looking retaining pin and washer. That came off the bottom of here. And then that rod is disconnected. So I'm sure this side won't be that easy. Looks like I might need a flathead screwdriver. So this is what was pushed on to the end of that that linkage, where the forward and reverse linkage attaches to the hydrostatic transmission. And that is off. Okay, what's next? We've got 2 bolts on each side that secure the axle to the frame of the tractor. Maybe I'll get the jack ready to try to pick up some of the load on the back of this hitch here, and we'll see if we can't crack those loose. I did spray them with some penetrating oil a few days ago when I replaced the gas tank in this tractor. Now, one thing I do remember from this job on the other tractor is that I removed one of the tires, but it was a pain, so I'm not going to bother removing the tires on this one if I can get away with it. See if we can unplug this sensor. Yeah, just like the rest of the plugs on this tractor, you don't have any of those annoying tabs that always end up broken. Just apply a good little bit of pressure and pull it off. Can you guys see that lever moving there? You see. What that lever is, with it in that position, that's when you would be normally operating the tractor. In that position, this would allow you to roll the tractor around when it's not running, as long as the brake is off. So, same style washer as that one, just a little bit smaller. So we'll pop that off and disconnect that linkage. There we go. Just prying it off with a screwdriver. Pry on one side, pry on the other side, repeat. And that should just pop out of there. Like that. And I'll be able to pull that out from the back of the tractor. And show you what it looks like. It's just a long rod. This bracket here, this black bracket, I'm gonna leave it attached to the tractor, and I think I'm gonna undo it from the side of the frame. Just borrow that trouble light for a minute. Yeah. That looks like it's gonna be easier because that's a nut and a bolt on this side, on this one here. Up here, it's just a bolt, and the nut is integral to the frame. So I'm just gonna hit that with some penetrating oil on both sides, and we'll take those off. So I think the next thing to do is to remove the other 2 bolts this guy here, same on the other side, and we'll try to jack this tractor up off of the HST. Of course, we can't lower it because we still have the tires on. And we'll see what we can do to try and remove the belt from that fan. So that fan pretty well turns all the time when you're driving the tractor to cool this HST down. And that's why it's very important that you run this thing at close to maximum RPM to make sure that that fan is cooling this transmission. That's one of the reasons why these things malfunction, is because they get too hot because people run them too slow. So if you have one of these things and you like to idle it around working and pulling a trailer, you're hurting yourself. You need to get that thing screaming so that you're cooling things down properly. All right, let's get those other two bolts out.
Oh, hey! Ha, sorry about that.
Just want to double check and make sure none of your linkages are hung up on anything. This guy here. So there you go, you can see how I was able to kind of rotate that into the forward position. I'm going to get a couple of axle stands and try to support this thing as best I can. I am going to have to get under there a little bit. I don't want this thing to fall down on my head. So just give me a second. Yep, they went in. I should have safety glasses on for this, but I don't. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Take the circlip off, pop the fan off the spline, and then, whoop. That was a spring washer that was underneath there, and just in order to make sure that that plastic fan would push up onto the circlip, but that's rusted, so I'll have to buy a new one. Okay, now the right way to do that would be to undo it. There's a keeper on here that would stop the belt from sliding off the pulley, but you can just lift the pulley up and then take the belt off. I may as well just take that off too. No, I'm going to leave it so that I remember which way it goes. I guess I can just look at the video. Okay? The fat part goes up. The clean part goes up. There you go. Alright. That's out. All I have to do is roll this sucker out of here. Okay, so we got it out of there. Now I need to just figure out which one of these do we open up in order to flip it for the night and let it drain. I remember there being a magnet underneath one of these. I just pulled the cap off that, and all it did is reveal another cap underneath, so I don't really know what's going on there. I'll have to do a bit of research on the internet and look myself and see what's going on here. Not Not trying to make myself out to be something that I'm not. I definitely don't do this every day. But I can take things apart with the best of them. And getting them back together, it's pretty much just the opposite, isn't it? So, I'm going to pause the video for now and try to find out how I can open this stuff up without wrecking anything. Alright, so I looked online and that cap needs to come off. Stuck on there pretty good. And there's a magnet that collects all the crap and all the metal filings off of the gearing. That's actually less metal filings than I thought. Yeah, some good sludge on there. Yuck. It would be so nice if this had a drain plug. Gross. That actually comes apart into two pieces. So I'll clean that off. And then the only thing that's left to do tonight is just put this thing into a position where it's not going to fall and tip it upside down and let it drain.
Where'd you get these from?
Out of a drawer.
Really?
Yes. Well, there you go. Draining into this coffee can overnight. We did get the majority of it out of there. Pretty gross. But that wasn't too terrible. I mean, basic hand tools, and I haven't been out here an hour, and it's done. You guys saw probably a lot of that in fast forward. But I'm gonna let that drip for a couple of days anyway. I'm busy tomorrow. But we'll get this put back together at the next step of the process. All right, so this has been draining for a couple of days, so I'm going to top it back up with some synthetic 5W50 oil. That's what I put in the other one of these transaxles that I did, and I've been experiencing really good success with that, and I've had no issues. It was a lot quieter after I changed it the last time. Some of my research on the internet indicated that that was the correct oil, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Alright, I'm going to put the magnet back in there, put the cap back on. I'm going to clean the magnet again just to make sure that I've got everything off of it. Okay, now what I would really like to do is take this thing outside and pressure wash it. I want to get as much of the stuff out from all in the middle of those cooling fins. The more of that stuff that you can get rid of before you put this thing back together, the better cooling capacity your hydrostatic transmission is going to have. You don't really want to put it back together with all those clumps in there. All right. So the name of the game is to do everything we did a couple days ago, just do it in the opposite direction. So this belt needs to go back on, the pulley. Fan. Great. I'm thinking, what's missing from here? Well, the fan. Duh. That belt looks like it's in pretty rough shape. That's going to need to be replaced eventually. So I got my fan back on. There was a little spring washer in there. It was broken when I took it out. I'm really not too worried about it. I suppose I could look in the junk drawer and see if I can find just any old washer to take up the space. I don't have anything paper thin enough. I'm not concerned. It's not a high performance machine here. Here we go. It does move around a little bit without that thing, but what are you gonna do? I wonder if I could just put the broken one back in, and perhaps the space that it uses will keep it in there. Maybe it's a confined space where that spring washer goes. That's better. All right. Okay, I managed to get all 4 of those dropped into there, so that's nice. Just make sure that all of our rods are in the right position. There's 1. There's 2. Hook that spring back up. Put the wire back on, or the sensor. The rod back on this guy here. This rod. Wow. Now all I have to do is run my bolts back in everywhere and put the retaining clips and the pins back on everything, and we're good to go. That was really easy. I did put a little bit of never seize on these. Why? I never want them to seize. Somebody made a comment on one of my last videos and actually gave my channel the very first thumbs down on any video, which is cool. I knew it was coming. You're gonna get lots of thumbs downs on YouTube. But first of all, he said that I had a bad oil leak on this tractor. There's no oil leak on this tractor. I undercoat very aggressively because these tractors came to me used in very bad condition, and I don't want them to rust any worse than they already are. So they're always covered in undercoating. It looks like an oil leak. And then he told me to clean my mower deck immediately. So yes, Dad, I'll get right on that one of these days. Put that washer on the bottom of there. And this really funny looking retaining clip. That really funny spring clip, friction washer, whatever the heck you want to call it, on there. And then the last one I'll get from the other side. And then I have no parts left, which is a good sign. That's it. Back together. I have to tighten up those axle bolts, 4 of them. There. That is going to let me run this transaxle without actually having the without actually having the tractor do any work. All right, we'll let this thing down off the jack and we'll go for an actual ride up and down the driveway a couple of times, get it warmed up, check for leaks, and that'll be this job finished. So let's give it a test run. Well, that's all she wrote for that one, guys. So there you have it. Transaxle, oil change, John Deere 100 series tractor. You can follow me on Instagram at killingitcountry. But that's pretty much everything I have for you today. I would rate that job at pretty much the same as changing the gas tank, like a 1.5 or a 2 stars out of 5 for difficulty. Basic hand tools. Just look at what needs to come apart to achieve what you want to do and get it done. So check out my other videos for this machine, oil change, whatever, fuel tank change, and one of the next things I do will probably be to paint that mower deck, because that guy in the comments told me to do it, so I have to. I have to do what he says. So take care, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.